Hello, and welcome to Mystic Dog Mama, the podcast for soul-led dog mamas, where you'll discover how to best nourish your dog and yourself, mind, body, and soul. I'm your host, Dr. Alexia Meller. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're diving into a topic that Stacy and I get asked about a lot: supplements. When it comes to supplements for ourselves or for our dogs, it's easy to fall into the trap of more is better. But what if conscious supplementation isn't about adding more? It's about choosing wisely. In this episode, I'm joined by Amy Peacock, founder of Earth's Secret, a beautifully aligned supplement brand focused on quality, transparency, and reconnecting with nature's intelligence. We talk about what most people don't know about supplements, the hidden ingredients, the marketing myths, and the surprising signs that your body might not be absorbing what you're taking. While Amy's focus is on human supplements, I weave in the links to our dogs because many of the same principles apply. Whether you're supporting a healing journey, managing stress, or trying to boost long-term vitality, being intentional about what we put in our bodies and theirs matters. To support you in doing just that, Stacy and I have created a free PDF as part of the Fetch Starter Pack to help you audit your dog's supplement cupboard. It includes what to look for, what to avoid, and how to choose aligned, appropriate support for your unique dog. You can grab it at learnfetch.com. This episode is an invitation to pause, reassess, and make more conscious choices for yourself and your dog. Because health isn't just about what we add, it's about what we align with. And if you want to align with this summer season, we have just the thing for you. Summer invites expansion, joy, and connection. But for our dogs and ourselves, it can also bring heat, overwhelm, and restlessness. The Fetch Summer Almanac is your seasonal compass. Rooted in traditional Chinese medicine and created through the lens of dog guardian connection, this guide offers cooling foods, daily rituals, heart-centered practices, and space to reflect, so both you and your dog can move through summer with more ease, rhythm, and presence. This isn't a how-to for doing more. It's a gentle invitation to do less, but with more intention. More listening, more softness, more joy. It's now available as a downloadable PDF, the first in our new seasonal living series. You can buy your copy and begin your solstice-aligned journey today. The investment is only £7, and it's available on our online shop at learnfetch.com. I've left the link in the show notes. On that note, let's go. Hi, Amy. Thank you for joining me on the Mystic Dog Mama podcast today. I am so excited to chat with you.
Hi, Alexia. I'm so happy to be here. I've heard so much about it, and I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Me too. And I see it as a follow-on from this amazing conversation we had just last week. We were like, oh my God, we could talk forever. This is so fascinating. And all of the parallels between your world of the human supplements and my world of the dog stuff, and debunking a lot of this stuff as well about where there are issues within the industries and how people can actually navigate choosing supplements that are really going to work for them and for their dogs effectively. So I'm excited to dive into it.
Yes, amazing. I know, and it's crazy from the conversation we had is to actually the correlations between animal supplements and human supplements. And this is following the conversation we had is kind of mind-blowing to me because I did not realize how similar it actually is.
Yeah, totally. Not only in terms of like why you might think about certain supplements for certain conditions, but also the way the whole industry is set up and some of the problems with the industry as well. And that's one of the reasons I really wanted to talk to you, because I think your company, Earth Secret, with what you're trying to do is really a paradigm shift in how we're thinking about supplements and how you are a leader in the industry for cleaning up an industry that has a very bad rap as a result of doing some very bad things, and actually making it much easier for people to support their health in a really effective way. So I wondered if you wouldn't mind kind of giving a little bit of a background about Earth Secret and how you got into this whole the whole lane of supplements in the first place.
Yeah, of course. So, Earth Secret, I created this business now 4 years. So it's actually June. I launched it in 2021. So it's been 4 years, which is just mind blowing for me. And I created this honestly because it has been my bread and butter, holistic health. I grew up with this since I was 4 years old. Honestly, like as much as I can remember, my whole life had been like growing wheatgrass shots. My mom would grow wheatgrass shots in her garage, and due to this, she did also have breast cancer throughout my whole life. And this kinds of forces you to look at like a different way of life. She was going fortnightly to chemotherapy, but she also was looking at holistic health. She'd go to Germany for alternative health treatments. She would go to the gym. She would leave me, my brother, to tennis lessons. Like she would do everything like a normal mom would do. And I kind of realized that there was something different than what the whole paradigm of, cancer was or chemotherapy was and this. And I realized that when you can support your health in these natural alternative ways, and I don't even like to say alternative, it is more just it's the correct way, it's a natural way. It's what we've been doing like for our ancestors have been doing thousands of years ago. And I think this showed me how much and how important it really is to utilize these plants herbs. My mom sadly passed away when I was 15 years old, and after this it kind of just also kind of enlightened me of how precious life really is, and that kind of side of things on how to really take care of your health in this way, because we don't know how long we're going to be here, so we might as well live the healthiest versions of ourselves. And so even during this process, and I traveled Australia, and I did all of this, and I was in wonder of the world. I just love the world so much, and I was in wonder of how to become the best version of myself. And it was then when I was just it was during COVID, I had to come back from Australia, and I'd studied nutrition and food science, and I was always training and gym and all of this stuff, trying the new fungal products, reishi mushrooms. Like I was always, when I was traveling, I always had my little ashwagandha capsules, everything with me. Like my friends used to laugh at me because of this. But if they were sick, I'd always give them the vitamin C. I'd always give them the zinc, So I always had my dispensary with me. And it wasn't until I was in my room during COVID back in Ireland, and I was then kind of forced to be like, okay, well, I need to now create something. I would like to create something. Now, what is this that I want to create? Because I always knew I wanted to create something that would make a difference in the world.
Mm.
And I kid you not, I put a piece of paper like this, and I did one column, what I'm good at, the middle column, what I can help people with, and the third column is what I can monetize. And so I was like picturing all these stuff with just a pen and paper, no chat GPT, nothing like this at this time. And I was like linking everything up. And while I was thinking, because I was really going deep down, I took one of my ashwagandha capsules to just have a really deep think. And I was like, whoa. And I kid you, it was like ding, 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 ding. It was like, and I do tell people it's like a different force came over me. It was like, oh, wow. I want to create a supplement, like an actual supplement that I have been using for so many years, that like this natural health in a capsule format so that people can take it without, going foraging through the forest, getting some tea, brewing it, like they can get the benefits through the capsules. And so that was really the beginning of the journey. And I was like, oh, wow. And I just stayed in my room for 8 months and just completely, it was great because it was during COVID. So there was no, disturbances like outside. So I really forced myself to be like, okay, now it's time to build this that I've always wanted to try and build. And yeah, when I was getting manufacturers, because we were based in Ireland, so I wanted to be like the manufacturer in Ireland or the UK. So I was calling up manufacturers, I was asking them to do the formulas and seeing if there's any interactions with any of the formulas that I created. So I actually, all the supplements you will see, I formulate all of them. So I went to third parties to make sure there was no interactions, and everything got signed off. And I was like, oh my goodness, wow, this is actually happening. And then I couldn't find a manufacturer who would create the supplement without adding the fillers, the anti-caking agents, the binders. And I can understand now how businesses, especially if you've got massive shareholders and you're trying to make ends meet, that you would just say, okay, I need this supplement. Yes, I don't care about the fillers if you're not kind of educated in it. But I always knew that my USP was going to be clean formula, nothing else in it. And then finally, I found a manufacturer who actually was like, look, yeah, we'll create it, nothing else. And I was like, are you sure? I don't want to go through this whole process. And then you call me and be like, no, we're not going to do that. And I'm like, okay, it's ready. And so it created it, and we have not changed the formula in 4 years. Like we've added new products, but the formula still stays the same because the formula itself, when people read these ingredients, they look at it and they're like, wow, this is an incredible cocktail of these incredible herbs with no nasties. And that's how I really created it. And everything after that has been just a complete lesson for me. I didn't have any, I didn't go to business school. I didn't do all this. All I knew is this was my passion. And I like to tell to people is my ikigai, my reason for being,
Mhm.
it's my purpose. And this, like, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of hard times because I thought, wow, how am I going to build a business when I have no idea? But I realized is that once you stay passionate and honest and authentic, everything else will come. And this is what I built our secret to do. And now we're building a community of people that is crazy. When I see some of the customer reviews, they're coming in for one product, but they're staying for the community, for the story, and trying to find different products to add to their collection. And it's not like, I'm not going to say like a Holland Bar that you go in, you tick a box, you grab a supplement, and you leave. I like to say that our secret is a tribe. You bring people in, and it's a step into this holistic health direction that we all should be a part of, this community kind of living. And it's just when I started it, started it because of my mom, and this is why I called it Earth Secret, because it's the secret she shared with me.
Mhm.
But now it's also turned into changing the supplement industry, like we are talking about. And I won't lie, like I didn't realize how flawed the supplement industry when I got into it. But now I realize how flawed it is. This is something that I have learned, and I had said no to a lot of people and a lot of companies and a lot of businesses coming and saying, "Oh, I want to sell your product, I want to do this," and they were not authentic themselves. And this is how bad the industry is that anyone can sell it. And I will put my side, I can, like, anyone can sell a supplement. You just go and you can manufacture it, you have to have quite a lot of budget to get all the third party testing and stuff. But this is how irregulated it is. And it can be a dangerous industry if you do not know what you're taking. And we are going to talk about this, but just in the same as in like the dog world and the animal world, that people now think that just because there's a label on it and some fancy influencer or fancy marketing, that it's good for you. But that is not the case. You could be taking something that you have no idea. And it's not something that we're putting it in our house. We're actually putting it in our bodies. Like this is our vessel. And we are potentially putting something in that could be detrimental. And this is same in like the animals. So yeah, that's the kind of the story of how I created it and how it's turned into more of a, you know what, like I'm standing up for the industry. Like I want to clean it up. Like it's become now a different, more mission in that sense of like, I want to help people wake them up and see like big companies are out there profiting on our ill health and trying to profit off us from this. Oh.
I love it. Oh my God, the passion is just like visceral. I've got goosebumps listening to you. Thank you for that. No, it's so true. And I think that's one of the reasons I just love talking to you because we share that level of passion as well. And it's not just about the kind of it's like in my case it's not just about the one dog. Yes, it is about that one dog, but it's also about how serving that one dog helps to shift the greater industry, that it is this paradigm shift. And I think it's not even just about the industry, but it's a paradigm shift in how we think about care and how we think about health and well-being. And it's so important. And there were a couple of, I mean, there were so many things in what you just said that I want to kind of circle back to, but one of the things that I wanted to highlight with what you were sharing about being a problem in supplements is exactly the same thing that we see in the dog system, and that is the fillers. And I have to say, I want to talk to you. This is linked to my next thing with you, but it's like everything at once, so many questions. But but when I'm looking at, for example, generally when I'm looking at supplements for a dog, and this is, I'd like you to kind of make the human links for me here, but we want to be really specific. I mean, I know that pet parents tend to like, you hear about the latest superfood, the latest super supplement, whatever, the latest craze or fad, and it's like, it's almost promised as a silver bullet for one. If I just give this, my dog is going to be healthy forever. I'm going to get rid of this thing, what have you.
Yeah.
And one, that's not necessarily true. And two, one of the issues that I see is pet parents giving supplements that are filled with garbage that are actually exacerbating the very problem that they are trying to resolve. So I find it incredibly difficult, to be honest, as somebody that's supporting on the kind of nutrition consultancy side of things. It is really challenging to
Mm.
find products that are really clean so that I can remove the things that are potentially aggravating a problem. I think of something like yeast, for example, with dogs, which is unfortunately, a super common issue that we face, yeast overgrowth. And that is so hard to get on top of. And we do need to use different supplements, but I would argue like 90% of the time, it's just a minefield trying to sort through that. So I wondered if you could talk a little bit about why the fillers are a problem, why that's something we should be considering, and what would somebody, if they're looking at a label, how would they understand what a filler is and whether or not they should avoid that?
Yeah, so what I actually learned is that, like I was saying to you, is that when I was looking at some of the dog supplement labels, I saw the same common fillers that you would see in human supplements. And to give you kind of like an overview of what fillers are, so fillers can be called binders, anti-caking agents, and fillers. And there's different reasons for this. Number one, filler. Sometimes that the company would like to fill the capsule to make it look and appear as more fuller. That's what they want because they would actually put less of the active ingredient. So when you're looking at the capsule, you're like, if you actually saw what actually was in it, you'd be like, there's nothing in it. There's nothing in it. What am I paying for? So you're the kind of the minefields that they do as well. It's that. It's to add brown rice flour, for example. They'll add brown rice flour, which is natural. I do agree. This one is more natural, but it's still fake marketing, just add an additional active ingredient if you want to increase the fill of the capsule. That's one of the main reasons. Then the second reason is it actually to add a binder to the formulation, it helps to reduce the clogging up of the manufacturer machines. So basically, that's what happens. So when you put all of the formulas in, say 3 ingredients, normally the manufacturers will say, no, we need to add a binder into this, like magnesium stearate, for example, to make sure that it doesn't clog up the machine. But as you can see, with my formulas are very, very complex. I've got 5 ingredients that normally should stick together and should clog up the machine and not run. However, I've been doing this for years, and you can look at the back label, you can see it. There's nothing, just the capsule. So this is when it's like a kind of like a theory is like, why are we putting this in if our option is not? And that is because it reduces the manufacturing costs and increases the profits. So if you see a supplement with magnesium stearate, silicon dioxide, guar gum, cornstarch, any of these, in the US, I know it's much worse because they have so many different names that I haven't even heard of. But even in the UK, you have these common ones, especially magnesium stearate or microcystilline cellulose as well. Now, this literally is just, and the thing is that when I found out about this, I was like, okay, so it's just inactive ingredients. But actually, magnesium stearate is a fuel lubricant. It is used in heavy machinery to literally, again, not clog up the machine. So you're asking yourself, why are we ingesting this? And think about how many people take supplements per day in capsules. So you think, oh, maybe you need a max dose to feel the effects. But over time, if you keep on consuming magnesium stearate and you're consuming this fuel lubricant daily in how many supplements, then that becomes a problem. And because supplements still are a new thing, we have not seen the research of like the bad effects of this. But we know from just looking at what the ingredient is you are ingesting is a fuel lubricant, you probably don't want to be ingesting that, right? So it's a bit about this and it's a bit about the education. But consumers, when people are looking at a supplement, and like you said, it's the wild, wild west. So they see a supplement, they see, okay, this is great, this looks like a great supplement. It's cheap. Normally they're cheap. This is like normally they're cheap ones have all the fillers. Honestly, like I've went into a few stores when I was in London there last week and just looking at the back label and it has 1 ingredient. So for example, licorice root. It was licorice root and I was like, okay, let's look at the back label. And this is a common red flag. If you see other ingredients and you see more than 2 ingredients, it should just have one in the capsule shell if it's marketing licorice root. But if you look at the label and it has like all 5 different words that you cannot pronounce, well, you have to ask the question, why am I taking something that the ratio is 5 to 1? I only want licorice root. Why am I ingesting all of this other garbage into my system? Like, what is this going to do? And there has been clinical studies showing that magnesium stearate now can actually reduce all the bioavailability of the supplements you're taking. So not only are you ingesting something that could be harmful for your health, but you're also taking something that you're not absorbing the nutrients of what you're actually taking. So you've got this crazy things, and now you've got people who are standing up and having clean formulas and saying no fillers, no nothing like this. But the difference is that these are going to be a little bit more expensive because, for example, my manufacturer, I have to do small batches. So I have to create small batches in order for the machines not to clog up, in order for me not to put these excipients in. This is also what they're called, excipients. That's the umbrella term for all of those. But this also is a sign that if you see magnesium stearate and all of these different ingredients, it's a sign of mass production. And you don't want to be taking something that is mass produced because you don't know what is in that, what's in the machines, have they been cleaned properly, what is actually in the ingredients. And, also just something to touch on with this is that something else with the supplement industry that probably is the same in animals is that the fact that it is so irregulated, you don't even know you are taking the correct amount of the active ingredient in the supplement. So I don't know if you've seen, but there was like some big stuff about creatine gummies there, like around a month ago. Stephen Bartlett put a LinkedIn post about it, and someone went and took this famous brand, very famous brand, like massive brand, creatine gummy, and did their own third-party testing to see how much creatine was actually in the gummy. And it was, I'm not going to say the figure because I can't really remember, but I remember it's something like 60% less than what it was marketed. So you're thinking like, okay, if this big brand can get away with this, how many other big brands can get away with selling products that might not even have the contained ingredients? So and me even saying this, I'm like, I feel sorry for people because it's a hard thing to learn, and it is because you're not interested in the ins and outs of it, and you just want something to better your health. You feel like kind of exhausted, like trying to keep up with all this new knowledge and
Mhm.
new ways to better the health. So yeah.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. And actually, we see that same phenomena that you were just describing about testing a third party testing a product and finding out that it doesn't have what it says in it. We find that in commercially made dog food, never mind the supplements. That happens in the dog food as well. And that's why you see so many recalls in a lot of kibble because they'll have something like, significantly higher amounts of vitamin D, for example, which is toxic at the, those kinds of levels, or they don't have enough of something in. And so I think what you're bringing up actually speaks to a bigger question of like how we actually trust our food systems. I mean, that is a bit of a different topic to kind of go down, but you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it really does, like you're saying, it becomes overwhelming and you can feel like you're just having to be hyper vigilant about absolutely everything and you don't actually know where to turn and how to who to trust and what to trust. And I think too, along those same lines, when we were talking last week, we mentioned as well about even the black market of supplements, like through places like Amazon, for example, where you think that you're buying the trusted brand only to receive something that isn't actually the trusted brand.
And that's when it gets scary because that gets scary because you could be buying something that you have no idea how it was manufactured, how it was produced, no idea about the cross contamination, no idea even if you have like an allergy, if you have an intense
Right.
allergy, and that's a whole nother thing of kind of worms to open. And I do see Amazon like we're on Amazon to be honest, and we know that it probably will happen to us at some point that someone will look at the brand and just make a complete ripoff. So now it's so important for brands to protect their image, protect their packaging, putting barcodes on the packaging, trying to get things, do things that it cannot be replicated, and having a big kind of law system in place that if someone is doing that, that they can actually reach out and say no and shut it down like this. But Amazon's industry and the supplement industry is massive. It's so big because you've got the cheap manufactured, drop shipped from China, Alibaba, sent right to your door. And that's a whole nother thing because I have friends here who drop ship, and drop ship for other people who don't know is you basically have never seen the product before, but you see it on Alibaba. It's called white labeling, and you just stick your label on it, and then you ship it out to all the customers. You've never seen the product, you don't even know what's in it. You see the label, you're like, okay, that's fine, and you ship it. So you've got no reports or no nothing like that. And for me, this is when I'm like, should we even be on Amazon? Because it is such a it's not a, I wouldn't say it's a valuable, reliable like business, especially when you're in supplements. It is the easiest, I will say, because you've got peer reviews and you can just go on and see what other people are saying and stuff like that. And we do have some of our customers on Amazon like purchasing because they can get like guaranteed next day delivery. So that is most why people want it. They want it for the convenience that they have and also Amazon's customer service. Like that's great. But I would always recommend to people if they're looking out for like Amazon supplements is to check what, like when you see on Amazon, you see sold by, it's normally on the right, to make sure that it comes from the same name that you're buying the supplement from, because you'll actually see that it will be sold by blah blah blah, and it's not connected to the name. And this shows you that it's a third party seller. This person or this company has resold this or changed the labels or something like this, and people still are liking the product. Maybe, I don't know if it's placebo or whatever, but you see these brands and they're normally the number one bestseller because they sell so many at a cheap price. And this is a massive red flag. You have to make sure that the brand is the same sold by. And also look at any other discrepancies in the logo, and you look at the real website and stuff like that, because then you're stepping into really weird territory waters there when you could purchase something and you're like, where is this coming from? You know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just to echo for listeners, this is exactly the same thing as we see with the dog supplements on Amazon as well. So you really do need to be careful and buy from reputable places. I agree.
Yeah. And I definitely with the dog supplements, like we were saying on Amazon, like they are, when you go to Amazon US, I don't think you can do it in Amazon UK, but you can see how many units are sold. And I told you that like the dog joint supplement, super cheap, are like 200,000 sold per month. And you can see this. And then like when you see something like this, that how many people are purchasing supplements for their dogs and not probably not even educated on the supplements they're taking. Imagine this is why when we were talking, it also just kind of was like, oh wow, like that's crazy because dogs cannot tell you, like, oh, magnesium stearate, I don't want to take this, or educate themselves about it. And so we kind of have to step into our own kind of teacher mode because we have to teach ourselves about our own health, but now the health of our animals and pets, which is so important.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I'm wondering too if you can talk about, I think one of the things that comes up a lot on the dog side of things, and I'm assuming it's the same with the human side of things. You mentioned having your own dispensary, like your own personal dispensary. And I love that compared to what we often see is a supplement graveyard,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and so I wondered if you could talk a bit about how people might want to think about using supplements. How do you go beyond just a brand recognition when you're actually trying to decide whether or not a particular supplement is right for you? What do you tend to guide people around?
Yeah, so like you said, it can be a supplement graveyard. Like when I was at the Mind Body Spirit Festival in London, I asked people two questions. Do you take supplements and do they work for you? And the amount of people were like, yeah, I have loads of them. I have too many of them. And I think this is we have this like kind of compulsivity of to purchase something, start a new me and do all of these amazing things, which is great to have this initiative. But once we just leave the supplements and we forget about them, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're never gonna finish that bottle. So I always recommend to people is that look, supplements are not cures. So whatever you are going in through in your life, the supplement is not going to cure it. But what I merely say is that supplements can be a stepping stone or can push you just that little bit more. Say if it's motivation, if it's you've got stress, can just push you that little bit more to help you wake yourself up and be like, oh, I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna fix that. That's what I like to say as supplements. It's almost like just that little friend that is like, hey, come on, you can do it. And it depends in what you're looking for. For example, like if you are actively knowing that you feel a little more stressed in certain days and stuff like this is when I recommend to people to try out, for example, ashwagandha, or try out a supplement that is specifically for stress. Now, a lot of times people say, oh, but I take a multivitamin and I do this. And I'm like, multivitamins again. I don't agree with multivitamins because, it's like we can get, I know this is controversial, we can get our nutrients from our food. We cannot get our nutrients, all the nutrients from the food, like for example, magnesium. But when we take a multivitamin, there's some vitamins that, we're just taking excess off and we're just peeing the benefits out. But we could be taking an excessive amount of something that we can absorb very highly, such as vitamin D. And I do know we do have a big deficiency kind of in the UK and Ireland, but some people can absorb vitamin D so much better than others. So when you're taking a multivitamin, because people are saying you're deficient in vitamin D, that can actually cause liver toxicity, like the same in animals. So I think it's always super important. I do recommend to people, if they've never started taking supplements, is to go get checked by, maybe it's a natural GP or something like this. Get your bloods done. They are there to help, as well as saying, okay, you're deficient in this, you should look at this, or you should. But I always do say you can get it from the foods if you're not like a vegan or something like this, like B12, etc. But you could start with the diet. Try the diet, try exercise and all of this. And I could be biting myself in my own foot here by saying, oh, you need to get your diet in health. But that comes from, because I've got my diet in check, I've got my physical activity in check. Now, what am I doing? I'm supplementing, because I'm supplementing this, making it more of a whole, So my routine is going to be very different than another person's routine, because I am like a guinea pig, with new formulations, new supplements, and just I love learning like about biohacking. So I'm really deep into like brain health, because I'm working so much. So how can I really help my brain to always stay focused? Because I don't like coffee so much at like a specific time of day. So I'm trying different amino acids, and I'm trying like all of this to really help me get into the focus. But I do also say to people, for example, Earth Secret, when I created this, I didn't want to create all these supplements. So it's so overwhelming for people, because you go into Holland Barrett, you go onto the websites and stuff, you just like, I just wanted something to help with my energy. And now I'm seeing ashwagandha, Verdelia Rose, and all these names I cannot pronounce, and so many reviews, and you just don't know which one to choose. This is why we also have created a quiz. So on our website, we have a quiz that tell me how you're feeling, like what are you wanting, or this, and then we recommend like either with the complexes, or we recommend our bundles. And I did build the supplements, as in the three that we have are boost, balance, and sleep. And this helps with your sleep, your overall stress and focus, and also helps with your energy and digestion. And I think those are the three main pillars in everyday health. So this is why I've added these as the main ones, and they're complexes. So you've got 5 individual ingredients in each of the supplements. So essentially, if you take 3 of these a day, you're almost taking 15 supplements, because I wanted it to be, I don't like when people taking so many of this and you just feel sick. You're taking so many capsules and you're just feeling a little bit ill. And this is why I created Our Secret, to make it like a daily routine of, you wake up in the morning, you get on with your day, you take a balance, you go to work, then you get that reduced like crash that you get normally at like 2, 3 p.m. This is when you take your boost, helps you get that slow, sustained energy throughout the day. And before you go to bed, you take a sleep supplement. And that's what I like to say is like the 360 health and wellness. We actually call it the ultimate well-being. And then anything after that, such as vitamin C, zinc, magnesium, all of this is supplementary as well. That's why I like to say, again, the word supplementary, it adds benefits onto it. And so I think there's so much information about new mushroom products, new this, the new wheatgrass as well. I'm not saying, and greens powder and spirulina and everything. And you're like, I recommend trying a supplement for you. Try it out for 2 weeks. I said like 2 weeks. People say months. I'm like, no, try it out for 2 weeks, because like I said to the people at the festival in London, I said, and the second question is, do you feel a difference? They say no. I'm like, well, that shouldn't be right. You should change your routine, change the supplement, because why would you be taking something if you cannot feel the difference? And this comes into greens powders. So people are saying, "Oh, I take greens powders, but I don't feel any different." I'm like, "When was the last time you got sick?" "Oh, last week." Change the product. It's not working. The greens powder that you're taking, it should help to build your immunity. Your skin should be glowing a bit more if it's got biotin. All of this stuff, you should notice a difference. And if you don't, that is a sign that your supplement is either just not working for you, or it's just not got those active ingredients that are potent enough and bioavailable enough. And this is what I say to people, like, if you buy a supplement 2 weeks, it's not working, okay, throw it out. Throw it out, give it to someone, maybe they'll try it. But don't leave them in when you, because that's just already going to overwhelm you. You open the bathroom, you're like, oh, I don't need any more supplements, because you've left them there, and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go back to them, but you never do go back to them. But I also want to say that for supplements, for me, every 3 months. So I will take my supplements for 3 months, and then I will go cold turkey for around 2 weeks. No caffeine, no supplements, no nothing. Not because like there's any reason. I just do not want my body to build up a dependency. So like I want to reset my tolerance. And I love doing this because you can get like used to it. You go to bed, you take sleep, your body can get used to it. So I always like to, it's for my brain as well, like my mind, to just, hey, no, we're not taking any kind of external things inside us. We're now just doing that. And just to reset everything else. So that's why I do recommend to people and my customers every 3 months, just cycle on and cycle off. And when you go back on the supplements, you feel them so much more as well. So I love that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so helpful. That's so helpful. And actually to kind of bring it into a kind of conversation with the animal side of things too. I mean, I love that you're saying as well, we have to start with the diet. And I think we say you cannot out supplement a bad diet. There is just no way that like that is your foundation. And I agree with you that a supplement is looking at where there are gaps. And from a dog perspective, particularly from a kind of a more holistic, therapeutic perspective, we would start to look at that individual dog, just like we would look at as an individual person, right? We're each different. So that dog might be having some problems with actually uptaking zinc in the form that you're giving it. So maybe another form or adding in some extra zinc, for example, which is why we talk about the kind of industry standards in the dog world that are giving the nutritional guidelines of like what a dog should be having every single day in theory. But again, these were devised for commercial feeding. So the idea was if you're feeding the same kibble every single day, we have to make sure that the dog is at least getting their minimum amounts. But again, they're minimum. And
Yeah.
they're a general guideline, and that doesn't mean that that's going to work for your particular dog. You might be hitting the minimums, right? But that dog might need like a heck of a lot more zinc or a combination of different things. And
Mhm.
so starting with the diet, but then looking at how are you targeting this? So Stacy and I talk about with Fetch, like supplements very much firmly fall under our T category of
Mhm.
targeting and using them specifically and using them smartly. So I'm wondering in that vein, how do you advise people to start to I guess in a sense, like even paying attention to how they're feeling. How do you even know that you would benefit from something? Because I think sometimes as well, Stacy might have told
Mhm.
you that her experience with this when she's talked about this before on the podcast, when she was vegan and
Mhm.
she discovered that veganism didn't really work for her. I mean, and again, this is an individual thing. Some people do really well on it, others don't. For her, it didn't do so well. But she didn't notice that until she had an injection of B12 and
Mhm.
felt really good. And so we were talking about, even in terms of like the dogs, I wonder, like, because again, they can't tell us in the normal way, like, are they actually not feeling so well? Like, but they don't even necessarily know how to communicate that. Or in the case of like Stacy, we get used to feeling a particular way and we think that that's our normal. We don't even know that we
Yeah.
could feel better,
That's we
you
don't
know?
even know better. 100%. No, 100%. Well, I always say like start a diary, start a diary. And again, this is more like needed for people to do if they really want to see what the difference is. But like start whatever supplement you're taking, why do you want to take this? And it's like figuring out why you want to take it. Say, for example, you take balance supplement, like a stress supplement to reduce the stress. And you already know you're like, you know what, I've just got too many meetings at work. I'm feeling so overwhelmed with life. I want to start this supplement. I want to start ashwagandha. So then when you take it, feel like write it down. Okay, first day, next week, how are you feeling? And sometimes we can get used to the feeling of, okay, this is normal now, until there's this one moment. And I say it to myself that the one moment that you get, and I'm like, oh, wow, I haven't took my ashwagandha, or oh, wow, haven't took my balance supplement. And it's this kind of click of like, oh, whoa, I do feel a difference. And because when you're kind of on it, you're so going on with life and you kind of forget how you're feeling. And this is my personal experience. And then I would sometimes text my dad or something like this and be like, wow, oh my goodness, I forgot to take ashwagandha for the last few days. No wonder I was feeling so pressured and all of this stuff. And it's crazy how this kind of the being open to actual the power of these natural herbs that can it can actually work for you. And I think that's the paradigm shift for many people, because if you've tried so many supplements over and over and they've never worked for you, it's almost like, oh, I've tried this one, but it's never worked for me. How are anything else going to work for you? And you also have to be open-minded with that. Is like, okay, if this supplement isn't working for me, you have to ask the question why it's not working for me. And then to figure out, okay, maybe I try a more potent brand, maybe I try a different type of product, you know? And I think also with different supplements is that, for example, we sell our sleep supplement and it's our best seller. And I think it's because if you can't sleep, you know you can't sleep. And when you get a good night's sleep, you know when you sleep. So all kind of our biggest market is insomniacs. And we've got a lot of insomniac people who are going through, premenopause, perimenopause, all of this, and they just have a few years they were fine, and then one moment they just cannot sleep. And it's that kind of natural way, and that way of like going through a more natural alternative to kind of the pharmaceutical route that you have with like even melatonin and stuff like that. And it's just recognizing that you try something, give it a time frame, figure out why you wanted to try it. I think that's the biggest question. Is like, don't just try something because your friend's trying something or you see it on an ad or you see it on an influencer. You have to make the decision yourself to be like, okay, do you know what? I have been feeling less energy these days. I don't want to spend money on a second coffee. I'm going to try a natural energy alternative. And when you understand that this is the reason why you're doing it, then you have more of an idea to understand how you're going to be feeling after you take the supplement. And if you feel the same that you did the days before and your weeks before and it's not working, that's a sign that you need to maybe change your routine or change something if you have not changed anything. If you also have changed your diet and the supplement is working with the diet and the new exercise, keep that routine for you and keep it going. And then you will probably get to a stage where you're like, okay, I'm going to try something else. There's like a stepping stone. I'm going to try another supplement that maybe it can work in a different way. And I think this is the power of supplements. And like I say, I sometimes I don't like saying supplements because it sounds so 2025. It sounds so 2025, and that way it's more like these natural herbs, this it's nature. Like it's literally what I say about Earth Secret is we are taking the ancestral wisdom of nature and combining it in a modern day format with science, with patent ingredients, making it so much more bioavailable in the body. But really, it's like I'm just a messenger. I'm just a messenger who's giving this to people. It's nature's doing is all the work. And I think these are so powerful when utilized correctly. And it's medicine. People are like, oh, I'm like some people times they take the sleep supplement and they're shocked. They're like, how has this worked? I've tried so many different things. I'm like, because it's medicine. Like it is medicine. It's not this some wishy-wash grass that you take off the ground and put it in a capsule. Is that these herbs can be super potent. And this is probably what we're going to go into next, is that there is quite a lot of like toxicity as well. There is I do recommend people to get tested. For example, ashwagandha, you should not take it if you've got thyroid issues and you're on thyroid medication. You should not take passion flower if you're on blood thinners. And there is these interactions. And again, people realize think that just because someone is selling a supplement, it's healthy for them. But you're like, it's medicine. I view it as medicine. I view it as a natural medicine way to help yourself. And we do have these interactions that are so not looked upon enough, because again, it's another step in this education. And this is why we're having these conversations, because oh my goodness, the animal world, even for interactions, and this is what you guys do, is that you look at something and say, how is the dog feeling? What's the dog side effects? And then you can see, okay, you recommend some things in no interactions, but like in normal human supplements, no one really goes to nutritionists or no one really goes to these specialists. And my goal in Earth Secret is I would like to get to a stage that we become a specialist and even our own like dispensary, that we have our own dispensary in London in different ways where people can go and get consultations for free. And it's more sitting down and saying, what does your routine look like? How
Yeah.
is your diet? And this, and this brings in back to the whole community of like, we can't just give someone a pill and hope for the best, or give a dog a pill and hope for the best. It's more about how is it? How is their daily life? How are they going around? Like, how is the diet? And I just think it's super important.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I thank you for bringing up the whole interaction issue because I think people misconstrue this label of natural, meaning like, oh, it's okay, I can just take it. Not a big deal. It's not going to harm me. When in reality, they do have medicinal properties that we need to be aware of, and that's why it's always best to go and consult with your GP or your naturopath or whoever before you start taking anything like this, because you, especially if you're on medications, if you've got a health condition, you absolutely should be, and the same for your dog.
Yeah.
Definitely talk to somebody like me, your vet, or another professional that can help guide you to the people that ask the right questions, because it can be really dangerous if
Mhm.
you're not doing that. But I love too that you're bringing it kind of into that holistic space as well, that you cannot just rely upon giving a herb
Mm.
without changing other things, right? Without taking into the conversation other aspects of what it means to be alive in this day and age. And I think it's really interesting that you were saying that the sleep one is your best-selling formula. And on one hand, I'm totally not surprised just because of the crazy world that we live in. Like, and looking at, we have to ask too, like, is that even healthy for
Yeah.
us, that we're living in this way? And the same thing of what we're doing to our dogs too, but also the whole perimenopause menopause issue and what starts to happen. God knows it's a fun ride once you start getting up to that and you're like, what happened to my body, my God. But I wonder too, because you and I were having this conversation last week about, I mean, we were having so many different like tangents to this conversation too, about like how women aren't involved in like medical studies in the same way, and those problematic aspects of it too. But also just sort of the difficulties of creating something for menopausal women, perimenopausal and menopausal women. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that, especially since most of my audience is in this age range.
Yeah, so like it's again, it's like a for women, it's like a wild, wild west, another one, because you do not have those studies that you can look upon and be like, oh, this is what I should take. Like what women had to scream to their doctors saying there's something wrong, and they were like, you're just sick, you're just this, whatever, and they didn't believe them for so many years, which is a whole nother thing, which is so sad. So now I'm so happy to see that most like women are now standing up and being like, hey, no, like this is an issue. Like I'm feeling different. And now people are now getting supplements and getting this specialized help in menopause. And like when I created the business, I didn't think that that was going to be my market at all. I thought, to be honest, I was kind of naive. I was like, everyone's my market, because I thought who wouldn't want to better their health. But I realized that to be a business owner, you have to go into one market or whatever. And this, when we were advertising our sleep, this was a common theme, that because I would put some people's birthdays, you would put in your birthday after you checked out, so then we can see the ages and everything. And I realized that the average age was around 65. And I was like, wow, okay, interesting. And then it's kind of fluctuated over time, because now I do more events and stuff, and more people are kind of like getting more into the health. But in my talk that I did at the Mind Body Spirit Festival a few weeks ago, two ladies there did a Q&A after, and they said to me, like, would I ever create like a menopausal product? Because she was like, we need one that actually works. And my response was, there is so much noise now. There is so much noise with so many supplements out there. And you just look at the founders, and they're like a middle-aged dude creating a menopause supplement targeted to women that he probably has not ever heard of the word menopause. And this kind of motivates me to create a product for menopause. But the thing with menopause is that it's so complex. It's so complex because it's we have only known about menopause in recent years, really, like really known about it. So think about how many years prior to this that has led up to a very bad menopause. It could have been a specific allergen you've been taking for so many years that can affect so much your menopause. So this is what I always say to people is, especially my age, I'm 24, and I say to my friends, is like, guys, we should be taking some supplements to help prevent a very bad, like not a very bad, but like prevent the side effects that you get for menopause, like night sweats or like energy dips and stuff. And I think like this is really sad that other women were not educated in that they could help to prevent some of the, very bad side effects. And now it's like you wake up and you're like, all these effects are going, and I know so many women who have spent so much money on so many menopausal products, and it's just none of them is working. You go on HRT and some people find relief and stuff like that. But what I think is really nice for Earth Secret is that it's not going to be a full cure for menopausal symptoms, but again, it comes back to trying to start one by one. Is like, what side effect would you like to nurture now? Whether it be sleep issues, whether it be night sweats, whether it be stress, all of this, rather than purchasing a product that is a full menopause balancing hormone support. I say, okay, let's try and fix the night sweats. Okay, have we looked at white sage leaf? Have we looked at that? Has that worked for us? Has it not? Black licorice. There's so many different, the black cohosh root as well. There's so many different herbs that can help support the symptoms. And I think that is much better than trying to find like a quick fix for everything, because that's very rare to find. And I think that's what most women, because I get it, if you're having so many different symptoms, you just want an overall and you're sick of spending money, then you go into Amazon and you see one that is priced at a very expensive price and you think that this is finally going to be the one that works. But it's more important to say, okay, step back. Imagine my life without this side effect. Imagine my life, okay, with then these two side effects. Okay, now we're going. And then it's kind of that process of it, which I think is super important because, like I said, there is so much noise. And that's why Our Secret is the best, sleep is our best seller, is because a lot of menopausal women struggle with sleep. And so and sleep is like the necessity of health. Like it is the number one, everything else after sleep. Like it all comes back to sleep. I always say this, like if your sleep is not right, your diet will take a leap. Your stress, your energy, your mood, like everything. It's crazy. Your hormones. So I am such an advocate for sleep. Like literally, I'm 24 and I'm a grandmother. I am going into my bed at 10 p.m., blue light glasses, reading my Kindle, like all of this. And like even on the weekends, if it gets, and I'm living in Spain, so like they eat dinner like super late and everything. And I'm just like, oh, I need to go to bed. And like Amy said, I'm like, no, because even just one night of like bad sleep, I know the next day I will not be able to perform at my best. That's how I'm such a nerd with sleep. And I couldn't imagine not being able to sleep. This is the thing. So this is why we've really honed in to sleep, and that's why we created our magnesium biglycinate, because I have the best sleep of my life now. Like literally, I moved into the new apartment. I told you this. So, when you move into a new place, you're kind of all over the place and you sometimes don't get good sleep. No, I take my sleep capsules, I take my magnesium, I put my own sleep mask on, and I literally wake up with a smile on my face. Like it's actually insane. It sounds like this, but I'm like, because we're all deficient in magnesium, that's another thing to say. So that is to have that nurturing, and also to have the herbs is an amazing feeling, to actually get that. And I think it's definitely a lot more difficult for menopausal women because there's so many different factors. And, at some point in my career, like I do want to either do a separate menopausal course myself to educate myself, because it's an industry that I'm not super confident in, because I'm you look at the brand, I make products to work. Like there is no doubt I make products to work, and I just could not, like I've been told by so many of our customers to make it, but I could not kind of be like, okay, I'm going to create something that is 50%. No, it needs to be 100%, and it needs to be super correct. And it will also be expensive to create because like I said, it's going to have like the complex is going to have so many different ingredients, because I believe that just one ingredient, like taking it step by step. So that's kind of what I do recommend people to just go to a naturopath that specializes in mostly women. I will say mostly women naturopaths who have either, studied this for a long time or know it themselves, can actually show that, okay, well, actually personal experience, this has really helped me. And I think that is so important, rather than going to the doctor and saying I'm this, because sometimes it's just ticking the boxes. You go to someone, speak to someone who's been through it or has studied it and has this knowledge and can actually recommend you some really good natural. That's the thing, is natural products that work for you, work with your body, not against it, not fighting it. And that's the difference. When we take things that are fighting, it's our body's just going to reject it. Reject it. And if we know what we're taking and we feel it, you almost get into the flow of like, okay, wow, this feels, and it could be even a small little inch of your mood is better, something like that. But that's better than, nothing.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I think too, I mean, I think it's fantastic that perimenopause and menopause has come into the mainstream discussion in the way that it has. Because I know, like, from my mom's generation, like, that didn't get talked about. And it's only in recent times that it's like people are even saying, like, oh, I'm experiencing this. And you're like, oh, I didn't even know that that was a perimenopause symptom. Because again, as women generally, we're not taught about our health. We're not taught about our bodies. We don't even know what to expect. So I think speaking to somebody who's trained in it and then can help guide you and even say, hey, did you know that those joint aches might not actually be from, whatever you think it is, like overextending your knees or whatever. It could actually just be because of the change in the hormones. And so how do you deal with that? So I think that's great advice. But I wondered off the back of that, and since sleep is your best seller, could you talk a little bit about how you even decided to formulate that? What's in it that might be helpful for people?
Yeah, so again, when I was at the Mind Body Spirit Festival, we had like a poster that is like sick and tired of waking up at 3 a.m. And then it was a bit about the sleep supplement. And the amount of people just walking past me like, that's me, that's me. And I was like, this is crazy, because you once you speak to so many people and see how many supplements they've tried. And I always my opening line was, okay, you've tried sleep supplements. They're like, oh, I've tried too many. And my next thing is like, have you ever tried saffron for sleep? And they're like, no. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's in our product. So the difference is that we put in sleep. So in all of the complexes, we have pure patented ingredients. So what this means is basically that the patented ingredient, we extract the active component from the ingredient, the herb, and we extract it to make it so much more potent and bioavailable, as well as meaning pure patented. It's got clinical studies, so we can actually make the claims. So when I discuss about the sleep product, the main ingredient is Afron, which is the clinical studied version of saffron extract proven to reduce sleep latency, which is our sleep wake time, the time it takes us to fall. You've got organic passion flower, which helps to increase our GABA receptors, help us go into a deep REM, which is essential. It's our dream-like state. It's like rapid eye movement. It's such a great stage of sleep, but it helps you go into the different stages of sleep. And then you've got Montmorency tart cherry, which is the only natural source of melatonin you can take. So when you take the tart cherry, it naturally increases your melatonin, which is your sleep hormone, essential for you to actually fall asleep, wake up feeling refreshed. And then we've got organic lavender and organic chamomile, because these just help to relax the body and relax the mind. So when I created this, it was like, I looked at the formula and I was just like, this is an incredible formula, because when I was formulating everything, I had millions of tabs open, like going through PubMed articles, clinical studies, okay, this is the one that worked, double blind controlled, placebo controlled trial of Afron, taking this for 20 days, helped to reduce bad mood, also helps to improve skin complexity. It also helps with saffron for me was like, okay, wow, why are we not putting this into supplements? And most people, if they do have a saffron supplement, they don't use it for sleep. So they use it for eye health, they use it for the skin, they use it for depression and all this. And I was like, no, because if I put this in my sleep supplement, like, what is the most also common way that people can't fall asleep? Is their mind. Their mind won't shut up. Their mind just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And they wake up in the middle of the night. Normally, people wake up in the middle of the night because of their cortisol levels. So if you have a high elevated cortisol level, your body will wake you up straight away in the morning in like 3 a.m. and your body is like ready for fight or flight. And you're like, it's not time to wake up yet. What are you doing? And our body, it's our cortisol levels, and it comes back. And so the saffron extract really helps too, because it acts as an adaptogen, which also helps to balance the cortisol levels. So I look at it like Mother Earth tucking you into bed, because when you take it, it's potent enough to feel that you're like, okay, wow, I need to go to bed. And it's gentle enough to not feel groggy. And I think it's an incredible, because it's non-habit forming. So I have a lot of customers saying, oh, like the supplement is amazing. I'm loving it, but like, can I take this every day? And I say, well, think about it like a strong, potent cup of chamomile tea. You wouldn't ask if you would take chamomile tea all the time. This is what kind the sleep supplement is. It is got potent ingredients, but if you think you're taking too much because the dose is two, you go down to one. I have my friend here, her dad is loving them. She texted me saying her dad is absolutely loving the sleep supplement, but he only needs half a capsule. So what he does, he opens up the capsule and he puts only a little bit into water and stirs it. And he said he gets the best sleep with that. So it's adjusting also the supplements to how you feel. Sometimes if I know I need to be super refreshed the next day, I need to get up super early, I'll take three capsules because that's in the recommended dose and I sleep like a baby. And it's also looking at the data. I used to wear a Whoop. I don't have this. It's like a Whoop is like a fitness tracker of sleep data. And I did a test and I would wear my Whoop. And before I would not take the sleep supplement and my sleep was okay. I got a recovery score of like 60%. The next day I took two sleep capsules and you could actually see my blood oxygen levels were much better. My resting heart rate was much better and my rapid eye movement sleep stage was so much higher. And you wake up and I'm like, wow, I actually feel refreshed. And this is actually the difference that I say to other people about the sleep supplement is that, this one is tailored to so many different reasons why you cannot get to sleep, that's how it works. Chattering mind, just anxiety, waking up with cortisol levels, a lot of this thing. And this is what the sleep supplement does. It hits all of these kind of root causes that really helps you get a good night's sleep.
Oh, I love that. That's really helpful. And I think, yeah, addressing the various reasons why, because you might not even be aware, to be honest, of why you're not sleeping
Exactly.
necessarily. So that's
Exactly.
super helpful. And that's amazing about that data. That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah,
Really
yeah.
cool.
I'm a science nerd as well. Like I just love looking at the data because I mean I could be saying absolutely anything, but if I have no science or data to prove the claims that I'm making, I could just be, selling snake oil. This is the thing. It's like no, like look, and I do have some people saying, "Oh, this probably does not work. It's snake oil." And you know what I do? I send them a link to all of the clinical studies that I've reviewed and looked at and say, "Look, it's not me. Like the third party clinical studies there with like a pool of 80 people, So like it's like the science and the data and the studies are there. I'm just here to say, hey, if you want a sleep supplement, take it. And it's a 60-day money back guarantee as well. So that's also what I stand behind. All of our products have like a full money back guarantee because a lot of companies won't do this because there's no money in that. If you make a poor supplement and then say, oh, it's a money back guarantee, no one's going to feel the difference. So obviously you're not going to make a business out of it. So this is how we kind of also wanted to be like stand out is, hey, like supplements are meant to work. Like our motto is feel the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Something, and you might not have a specific answer for this, but something that I kind of think about in terms of supplements and the industry at large. And I think about this too in terms of the food industry as well, is the issue of sustainability and how we start to take those kinds of considerations into creating different products, right? Or like choosing different foods, all of that kind of stuff. And I wondered, I guess, like, what are your thoughts on that? And how are you kind of thinking about that generally when you're starting to approach creating supplements and sourcing and all of that stuff? Is there something that you find helpful with thinking about that?
Yeah, so well, we will never kind of outsource like our ingredients and stuff from drop shippers, from like Alibaba or any of those type of companies at all. But what we do is that like our manufacturer in the UK, like when we're sourcing ingredients, they will always go to the source of the ingredient. So there's no middleman in between that, which I love. So you're basically getting a three-step process. I say the order that I want through the ingredients. Manufacturer sources it. They might already have it in store in the manufacturing and then they source it directly from the source, which I think is amazing because you've got a lot of third party sellers nowadays, even like with bulk buying ingredients. And so you've got like people like also producing herbs that should not be produced in a country. That's another thing, actually. For example, like ashwagandha is like made in India. So we source it directly from India. But there's actually some countries that are forcing some type of herbs to be planted in this country. And I'm like, that's not good because you're forcing some type of natural, not meant to be there, not in the climate or anything. So you've got this, so we will never do any of that. And through like sustainability as well, like there's a lot when we say like we're a subscription based business. So it does, we ship things like every month, every 2 months. So what we've done is that we've partnered with One Tree Planted. So we've partnered with One Tree Planted. So every order you place with Our Secret, we plant a tree, a mangrove tree. So we've got this, and we also pick up 5 plastic bottles in the water. So there's all these like kind of partners that you can see when you are buying supplements or buying a product. You will see the business if they are kind of not fake green, but if they are green, they will show what they are doing to give back also. And all of our like these pouches are fully compostable. So once you're done, you just put them in the compost heap and they completely degrade naturally. And in the boxes that we use large letter boxes so they fit through your letter boxes. So no big bulky packaging like you get with Amazon sometimes. And you open up the box and there's just a little tiny thing. You're like, why did we need this excessive packaging? So there's a lot of things that you can do with sustainability, especially with businesses. And I think there is like at some point we would want to give back to communities, especially where we're sourcing for like when we're sourcing from India, from ashwagandha, when we're sourcing from China for holy basil leaf. Like there's a lot of these things that we'd love to give back to the communities and stuff, and that's something that we're planning to do. But I think sustainability and also hiring like local, going locally. Like this is why I want Our Secret to move more into like I would love to have like a little shop in Ireland, to be honest. Like that, like where I'm from, and like a little dispensary there that like people can shop local and shop local and like know that they're a trusted brand, and that there is no more of this wishy-washy thing, and they can just go to the store and say, hey, this is what I wanted, this is what I've been recommended, can you get me this, and stuff like that. I think is so important nowadays.
It is. And also it touches back on what you've mentioned like right at the beginning too about really kind of creating Earthseeker as as a community and ha people staying as a community. I wondered if you could talk a little bit more about that. Do you have like a community space for people?
Yeah, so what I think is our probably our biggest is our honestly our email list. Like I send out so many emails like to like different segments that we have. And it's crazy because normally with like a business or so, you don't normally see the founder actually writing the emails. Normally you have like a different team for this or whatever. But I actually get it is me, and I get the replies from customers, and they actually address me. Hi Amy, I've been feeling this, or like, oh, I've added this supplement to my routine and this, and I will genuinely reply back like this, and to build a community like this and say, hey, let's jump on a call. And when we are growing and we're scaling, this probably will be unattainable for me, obviously. But my goal is to create this this tribe of like-minded warriors, and that has been the purpose from the beginning in like the statement that I created with like the business plan. Was like I wanted to create a tribe of like-minded warriors who understand about the health, understand the powers of these natural medicines, and how they can really just use all of this nature and create a better life for themselves. And because when someone, just one person, can actually help themselves, they help so many other people around them. And it's the ripple effect, what we talked about before. It's this butterfly effect that once you help yourself, you can help so many others, and you have this thing. And what I want to do, it's still been in the back of my mind, is to create a podcast. I want to speak to so many people like yourself and get stories told and heard, and people who listen and maybe get inspired by something or try something. And I think that's what we can do now is like all as a community, is that we've been gifted now with technology. I will say that we can use technology to our advantage. We can use AI to our advantage as well. And how we can get more of our message and our mission across of, let's get back to, not get back to our old ways, but our old ways in kind of mindfulness, in the ways that, when we are the community living beside our friends, family, sharing, love thy neighbor, like all of this stuff is so important. And I feel like with technology, we've kind of lost sight of that a bit. And it's which I just love living in Spain in general, because I'm in Spain now, and you can feel like there's families, there's very lovely human connections and all of this. And yeah, but with Our Secret, we're trying to build like on our Instagram as well, of like doing events at some point, of like an Our Secret event. That would be amazing. And to actually get, people that I've speaking to at the Mind Body Spirit, and like coming around and like creating our own like show like this would be incredible. It's more about trying to figure out how I can be like at different places to speak about this, because honestly, this is where my mission also and my passion lies, is like speaking. I love talking to people about this because I'm so passionate about it. And if I can get people, just even if it's one thing about supplement, to understand about some little things, to be aware of supplements, then it's like that they tell their friends, they tell their granny, their mom, their this, and then it's like you realize how much of effect you can make by just saying one thing. So yeah.
100%, 100%. So if people want to learn more about Earth Secret and where to actually purchase your products, where's a good place for them to go?
Yes, so if you want to, it's earthsecret.com. So it's one S, so it's EARTHSECRET.com. Or you can follow us on Instagram, which is Earth's Point Secret.
Perfect. And I will leave those links in the show notes if anybody wants to click from there. Amy, is there anything that I've not asked you that you feel like you really want to make sure that listeners hear today?
Um, Honestly, it's been an amazing conversation. I feel like there's been so much stuff discussed, and I think I think it's amazing how much similarities there are in kind of the animal supplements and the human supplements. And what we kind of discussed before was a bit about when you can take care of yourself first, and then secondary, take care of your pet. Because if you neglect yourself, you probably inevitably will neglect your pet. And it's really important to look after ourselves. And this is super important as well when you're looking after a pet.
Absolutely. And listeners will know that I'm on a mission to kind of get rid of the hashtag that, my dog eats better than me or my dog is supplemented better than me, that actually you need it's a duty of care for yourself and for your dog in order for you to look after yourself, and you deserve that as much as your dog does too.
100%, 100%.
Yeah. But I want to ask you one final question that I ask all of my guests, and this is related to your wee pup as well. What do you feel is, because we have been saying that there are so many connections with our animals and with our own health, and how important our animals are in our lives and what they're teaching us. And I wondered if you might reflect on what your dog has taught you about what it means to be human.
Hmm. Wow, that's very interesting. What it means to be human. I think the best thing my dog has taught me is that no matter kind of what you're feeling in your life, no matter if it's despair, anger, sadness, happiness, the dog will always love you. And the dog will always wag the tail whenever you come home, no matter what the mood is, no matter what their day was. And it's more about just being in awe of life. I think that's what my dog has kind of taught me, is like whenever there's a new experience, Bailey, my little dog, she's just in awe because she just loves her owners, loves her family, and it's that being still having that wonder in life is what my dog has kind of taught me. And really just I just miss her. She's in Portugal now, and just thinking about, my dad sent me a picture of her, sorry, my brother, and I'm like, I cannot wait to have her back cuddling. And we've been gifted. I look at dogs like gifts. Pets in general are gifts, like my dog has been with me, which crazy because my dog is born in 2011, so she's old. She's an old pup, and she's been with me through, a lot of death in my family that way, and she still has been. And it's crazy because my granddad met her, my granny, my mom, like all of this, and she's still here trotting around. And they carry the memories. That's the thing. They carry the memories, and they are the memory themselves. And it's dogs live within you, pets live in with you within you as well. Just like when humans pass on, pets always pass on, and there's always this mark left. And I think we're so lucky, just likewise how lucky they are to have humans in their life as well. Because like some humans, we gift them a lot, and it's just giving time and love to them. It's really important.
I love that. That's a beautiful answer. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing all your wisdom and your energy and your time today. I know people are going to love this and take a lot away from it, a lot of food for thought, and hopefully start to look after themselves just as much as they look after their dogs. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Report. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been absolutely wonderful.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alexia.
Thanks, Amy.
Bye bye bye.
Thank you so much for joining me for my conversation with Amy Peacock of Earth's Secret Supplements. To learn more about Earth's Secret and check out the products, visit earthsecret.com for more details. Like I said, Stacy and I have created a free PDF as part of our Learn Fetch starter kit, where we guide you through how to intentionally choose supplements for your dog. If you've got a supplement graveyard or you're not sure if the latest trend is right for your dog, you'll find this guide incredibly helpful. You can download it at learnfetch.com as part of our starter pack. You'll also find a link to our summer almanac on our Learn Fetch shop if you're looking for more seasonal support with intention. I know I'm biased, but it's so beautiful and nourishing for both you and your dog. Get your copy today to sink into the season. Again, just go to learnfetch.com. And we would love to see you in our free Facebook group, Fetch First Light. It's a beautiful community of like-hearted guardians supporting you on your journey with your dog. We do monthly lives, share resources, and help walk you through how to use our signature Fetch framework to help you live a happy, healthy, and nourished life with your dog. You can search Fetch First Light on Facebook or use the link in the show notes to join. All right, until next time.